Can you confirm marriage by a eulogy? Can an insertion of your name in a eulogy make you a wife? This is what is happening every day. So there is no law in this country. There is no marriage that doesn't have a marriage certificate. The civil marriage in the DC's office or in the Attorney General's chambers, there is a marriage certificate. And also the African customary marriage, which is potentially polygamous, from 2014, a marriage certificate is mandatory. So anybody who is working with an affidavit, you're not married. The law does not make you a wife because you have a child with somebody. You are not somebody's wife because your name appears in a eulogy. Oh my God. Very many men have chased the real wives from home out of anger. The chasing of a woman who is married does not dissolve a marriage. Welcome to Court Helicopter Explainer. Today, we are dealing with this question. Can a marriage be made by an affidavit? Can you go to a succession matter with an affidavit of marriage and claim that you are a wife? Leave that question. Can you produce an eulogy and say, my name is in this eulogy, and you become a dependent? Can you confirm marriage by a eulogy? A eulogy is that written speech. Every time you see a program of somebody who has died, there is a eulogy. They put his name, his wife, the deceased's particulars, his children, his wives. Can an insertion of your name in a eulogy make you a wife? This is what is happening every day. Did you go to do an affidavit of marriage? Remember, the Marriage Act under Cap 2, that is Marriage Act 2014, defines marriage that there are only 4 marriages. The African, that is number 1, the African Christian marriage, that is the church wedding. A marriage certificate is issued. The Muslim faith marriage, where it's polygamous, 4 wives at a time, there's a marriage certificate for every wife. The Hindu marriage, there is a marriage certificate. The civil marriage in the DC's office or in the Attorney General's chambers, there is a marriage certificate. And also the African customary marriage, which is potentially polygamous, from 2014, a marriage certificate is mandatory. So there is no law in this country. There is no marriage that doesn't have a marriage certificate. So anybody who is working with an affidavit, you're not married. 2, anybody working with a eulogy and saying your name is here, these are the photos I took with the deceased in the coffin, that is not a marriage. This was the question that was taken before the Machakos High Court in succession cause number 374 of 2012, JMM versus EKM. This succession cause started in Nairobi. In Nairobi succession cause number 976 of 2012, it was later transferred to Machakos. What are the brief facts about this matter? The applicant, who avers that she is the wife of the deceased, she wants the respondent to be restrained from interfering with the peaceful occupation of Mavoko land, that the respondent be restrained from selling those properties they had. In paragraph 2, she says in her affidavit that she was married to the deceased and was acknowledged in the eulogy as a widow, and she had one son with the deceased. She defines herself that she has one child with the deceased. The Lord does not make you a wife because you have a child with somebody. Whether you have 100 children with somebody, you don't become a wife. That is a bad story. You are not somebody's wife because he's the father of your child or from your children. You are not somebody's wife because your name appears in a eulogy. You are not somebody's wife because there is an affidavit. She goes on to say, she testified that when the deceased died, his body was taken to Montezuma by NJA, and she had to swear an affidavit in order to be allowed to access the body. Is that affidavit to access the body a marriage certificate? She added that the child whom the deceased is said to have sired has a birth certificate. Is that what the law talks about it? Let us see how the judges dealt with this matter. This is a very straightforward matter. This question about a marriage certificate and a eulogy was a question in the matter of the estate of Samuel Kiarie Kirimire in 1999, EKLR. Justice Githinji then, as he was, oh my God, Vivian, we might be beaten. The judge held that the fact that the applicant was included as a wife of the deceased in the eulogy is not proof of marriage. The fact that this wife appeared in the eulogy, that's no proof of marriage. All the way, the courts from 1999 have said that being included in a eulogy does not make you a wife. It goes on to say, from there, that is paragraph 27, I am not satisfied that the applicant has demonstrated to this court that she is a wife to the deceased or her child a dependent to the deceased, and hence I find that neither she nor her child are entitled to any share in the estate of the deceased. Oh my God. The marriage between the deceased and the first petitioner was still subsisting even at the time of his death. The evidence of some of the relatives to the deceased cannot support the applicant's claim of marriage. Even though the applicant might have nursed the deceased during his twilight years, the same cannot amount to a marriage. Oh God. It seems the relatives who testified for the applicant were sympathetic to her, as by then the first petitioner was not residing at the matrimonial home at Kamulu. The said relatives cannot elevate the applicant's condition to be a lawful marriage with the deceased. The applicant is at liberty to agitate claims, if any, to the estate during the confirmation of the grant. As the applicant has failed to prove the existence of marriage between her and the deceased, it follows that she lacked capacity to lodge the present application. The upshot of the above observation is that the applicant's application dated 18th of May 2012 lacks merit. The same is dismissed with no orders to cost, dated and delivered at Machakos this day, 23rd day of January 2020 by Justice D.K. Kimei. The judge is saying, 1, whether you have 100 children from one man, that does not make you a wife. The fact that he's your baby daddy, that is not making you a wife. 2, whether you are in the eulogy, that does not make you a wife. Free, whether you have an affidavit that you were married to that woman, unless there is a marriage certificate, that one does not make you a beneficiary or a married woman. Fourth, whether you took care of the deceased person, and this is a wake-up call. Very many women are taking care of men who are married elsewhere. Remember, in this matter, the first wife left. This woman, the woman in the man's life, took care and nursed this man. She provided food. She took care of his medication. She took care of his ailment until he died. That does not make you a wife. Whether you take care of a man for 1,000,000 years, if he's alive, like Solomon of the Bible, who lived more than 900 years, still you don't become a wife. This man had a wife. They never divorced. Put this in perspective. In reply to application, the respondent, that is the real wife, deponed on her affidavit that she was married to the deceased, and she attached a copy of the marriage certificate. She affirmed that she and her husband bought shares that were converted to a parcel of land in Mavoko town, and that the property was jointly developed, and she moved into the land. This is now very clear, and I want you to hear it. She averred that the deceased, in his bouts of anger, chased her from the home. She was chased. Very many men have chased the real wives from home out of anger. The chasing of a woman who is married does not dissolve a marriage. The chasing of a wife, unless you divorce that woman, by anger, the bout of anger, the court ruled out that she still remained a wife. And the application for the applicant, JMM, was dismissed because she relied on nothing. What Vivian told me, it's called hot air. You are now brighter. My advice to the women taking care of people's husbands, unless they divorce, you are wasting your time. You are not a wife unless they divorce. We did an explainer. Get into the marriage, the registrar of marriages. Check whether the man you are staying with is married. People don't divorce by affidavits, and people don't get married by having a child with somebody, and people don't get married by you being in the eulogy. Wakili Danstan Omari from Court Helicopter, bringing it the way it is. But we thank you for being loyal to us. Asante.